Welcome to the Deep Dive. We pull insights from complex sources so you don't have to. Today, we're getting into something really important and, honestly, often quite tough for a lot of people. Reproductive wellness and fertility challenges. It's often this journey, isn't it? Looking for support, for new ways forward. People really explore everything. And our source material today gives us, well, incredibly detailed look at one complementary path people explore, acupuncture. We're going to really unpack the specific ways it's thought to help with certain issues, things like endometriosis, maybe poor egg quality, thin uterine lining, and even helping prevent early miscarriage.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here is how the research tries to move beyond just saying acupuncture works. It actually digs into the how, the biological levers it might be pulling. Understanding those physiological mechanisms is key, and that's what our source does so well.
Exactly why we wanted to dive in. So, our mission today, uncover those key insights, maybe some surprising facts about how acupuncture actually interacts with the body's systems to potentially improve fertility. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's jump right in with endometriosis. It's such a tough one for so many. Just quickly, it's when tissue that's like the uterine lining grows where it shouldn't outside the uterus, causes a lot of pain, inflammation, and yeah, it can make getting pregnant really hard. So given how complex that is, how does acupuncture fit in? What's maybe a surprising angle beyond just, say, pain relief?
Well, it's definitely more than just pain relief, though. That's a big part. It's really a multi-pronged approach. With endometriosis, the primary aim is to ease that pain and swelling. But by doing that, by tackling those core issues, the thinking is it creates a more supportive environment inside, potentially better for conception or for a pregnancy to take hold.
Okay, so how does it do that? What are the mechanics?
Right, so there are several specific mechanisms researchers are looking at. First, for pain. Acupuncture seems to trigger the body's own natural painkillers. We're talking endorphins, adenosine, GABA, even the body's own opioids.
Huh. So it actually ramps up your pain tolerance.
Exactly. It makes you less sensitive. Plus, it seems to reduce specific things in the belly fluid that cause pain, like prostaglandins and nerve growth factor.
Interesting. What about the inflammation side?
Yeah, so for inflammation, it looks like acupuncture can lower key inflammation signals. Think of them as messengers shouting inflammation, things like IL-1 and TNF-A. It also seems to reduce certain hormones that kind of fuel that swelling, and that might actively help shrink those misplaced endometrial growths.
Okay. Shrinking the growths, that's significant.
And then there's hormone control. This is important because endometriosis is often fueled by estrogen. So a key insight is that acupuncture might actually help lower estrogen levels in the blood.
Which would slow down the growth of that problem tissue.
Precisely. And the source also mentions it can reduce a blood marker, CA-125, which doctors sometimes track with endometriosis.
Right. Anything else?
Couple more things. It seems to have an effect on the immune system, too. It might strengthen certain immune cells, like natural killer cells, helping the body manage things correctly. But it also seems to balance out an overactive immune system.
Ah, so it stops it from potentially attacking healthy tissue by mistake.
That's the idea. And finally, blood flow. Improving circulation down there in the pelvic area might help prevent new tissue growth and just create a healthier space overall.
Wow, okay. That's a lot of different pathways. Is one considered, like, the main driver, or is it really all of them working together? Because it sounds less like just treating symptoms and more like rebalancing things.
I think that's a good way to put it. It seems to be the synergistic effect. While any single mechanism is helpful, the real power might be in how acupuncture influences multiple systems at once. But it's important to add, as the source points out, while these benefits for symptoms and well-being look promising, the direct link to improved fertility specifically for endometriosis, well, that still needs more large-scale study.
Right, okay. Important nuance. So moving on. Our source also looks at two other really crucial fertility factors.
Yeah.
Poor egg quality and a thin uterine lining. These are big pieces of the puzzle, right? Poor egg quality means eggs maybe aren't as viable, sometimes due to age or other things, and a thin lining makes it super tough for an embryo to implant. What did our deep dive uncover here? How might acupuncture help with these issues?
Well, for both of these, the sort of core idea is that acupuncture seems to help by improving blood flow and just generally creating better conditions right there in the ovaries and the uterus.
Okay, let's break that down. Poor egg quality first.
So, for egg quality, the main mechanism seems to be boosting the blood supply to the ovaries. It appears to ease resistance in those blood vessels.
And better blood flow means?
Better nourishment for the developing eggs. Potentially better hormone balance, too, which could improve ovulation.
Ah, okay, so the knock-on effect could be maybe more high-quality embryos.
That's the potential benefit, yes.
Yep.
And maybe helping counteract some age-related decline in egg health.
Interesting. Now, what about the thin uterine lining? That's about implantation, right?
Exactly. And here, acupuncture seems to have a few key effects, according to the research. First, it can help thicken the lining and improve blood flow to it. It seems to relax the uterine blood vessels.
Make it thicker.
Yeah. The source mentions an average increase of around 0.41 millimeters in some studies, which might not sound like a lot, but in this context, it can be significant.
Okay. What else can...
Second, it seems to help with building new blood vessels and just making the uterus more receptive, more ready. It might activate certain growth signals for those new vessels. It could also help raise estrogen, which is needed for lining growth. And it boosts certain markers, things like LIF, OPN, VEGF, that essentially make the uterus lining stickier for the embryo, like molecular Velcro.
Molecular Velcro, I like that.
Yeah. And finally, it might help improve the actual structure and pattern of the lining, making it healthier, encouraging more glandular tissue, which helps with natural hormone release for repair.
So, if I'm understanding this, for someone doing IVF, say, these aren't just tiny tweaks. They sound like they could genuinely optimize the chances. What does that translate to for implantation rates?
That's the goal. By tackling these specific issues, egg quality, uterine receptivity, the idea is that these changes could potentially raise both pregnancy and implantation success rates during IVF cycles. That's a huge outcome people are hoping for.
Absolutely critical. Okay, so our final section tonight deals with something really sensitive, miscarriage prevention. Specifically after transferring a chromosomally normal or euploid embryo, even when you know the embryo is healthy, those first few weeks are nail-biting. So much anxiety. How does acupuncture potentially offer support during that really fragile time?
You're right that anxiety is immense, even with normal embryos. The idea here is that acupuncture might help support the body during those critical early weeks, when implantation is happening, when the pregnancy is trying to establish itself.
What are the mechanisms there?
Okay, first off, hormone balance again, but specifically fine-tuning the body's stress response system, the HPA axis. This could help maintain good levels of progesterone and estrogen, vital for keeping the pregnancy, while also lowering stress hormones like cortisol, which could cause problems if they're too high.
Right, managing the stress response.
Which leads right into the second point, actually reducing stress itself. Acupuncture is known to trigger the release of feel-good chemicals, endorphins again, but also dopamine, serotonin.
Calming the system down.
Exactly, calming the body and mind. And a calmer system generally means the hormone systems work better, which directly supports the pregnancy.
Makes sense. What else?
Third, back to blood flow. By helping relax the nervous system, it can widen blood vessels. Better blood flow to the uterus and ovaries means stronger implantation, a more robust environment for that early development.
Okay, hormones, stress, blood flow, anything on the immune side.
Yes, that's crucial too. Immune and inflammation control. It might help balance the immune system so it doesn't mistakenly view the embryo as foreign and try to reject it.
Creating tolerance.
Right. And it also seems to reduce inflammation generally. The research cited in our source actually suggests a potential reduction in miscarriage risk in SAW studies by up to 43%, which is pretty significant.
43%. Wow, that's a striking number.
It is. And finally, just overall body support, kind of adjusting that brain-body connection to create the most welcoming uterine environment possible for that embryo.
It really is amazing when you lay it all out like that. The sheer number of ways it seems to interact with the body, especially during such a critical window. It's not just one magic bullet, but this whole cascade of supportive changes working together. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's genuinely remarkable, isn't it? Seeing all these different ways acupuncture is described as influencing reproductive health. You know, from inflammation and pain to blood flow to hormone balance. It really seems like a systemic approach. It highlights how interconnected everything is.
Absolutely. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it really does reinforce this idea that acupuncture seems to work by sort of nudging the body's own intricate systems, supporting its natural ability to heal and regulate.
Rather than just masking a symptom.
Exactly. It underscores the body's amazing capacity for self-correction, for finding balance.
Which I guess leaves us, and you listening, with a question to mull over. How much more is there still to learn about just how interconnected our bodies really are? And how might interventions that seem quite subtle, maybe even ancient, have these profound system-wide effects on our overall wellness? Something to think about. And for those of you who want to explore the source material we discussed today in more detail, it does point towards more information over at www.berkeleycenter.com.